All right, good morning, everybody. We'll start. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we're just asking you today to watch over this meeting and be with all our people in this county as they go about their lives throughout the week. In Jesus' name, amen.
These will be the meetings from 2 weeks ago, right, David?
Right.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from 2 weeks ago.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Then there's two sets of claims.
Two sets of claims. One's going to be for $531,125.17. Second one's $862,985.61. It has the overlay on the road on this one, I believe, for
Wall Street.
What's that?
For Wall Street.
Anybody want to make a motion on that? What were the weeks? Do you got the dates or the?
okay. For the
531 was 920.
Yeah, the first one was for 920. It was 531, 125.17. The one's 916. Total was 862,985.61.
I'll make a motion per Jim just said on those amounts.
Need a second.
Oh, you already
I made a motion.
sorry. I'll second. Motion been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I thought we were waiting for a motion.
Thought I did it anyway.
I'll go AMR's here. David, you got anything right up?
I do not.
Did AMR send us anything in email or anything?
Yep.
They did?
Yeah, AMR's is posted on the
Oh, it is on there.
site.
So yeah.
You want to read it? You want me to read it?
Go ahead if you want to.
Okay. AMR data for September 1st through the 22nd. Blue Mound, 6 calls, 2 transports. Centerville, 7 calls, 4 transports. Lacine, 23 calls, 12 transports. Linn Valley, 14 calls, 5 transports. Mountain City, 14 calls, 9 transports. Parker, 8 calls, 2 transports. Pleasanton, 26 calls, 8 transports. Prescott, 8 calls, 3 transports. So far for the month to date, 106 calls, 45 transports, average response time of 16 minutes and 2 seconds.
And I just put Randy's reports on there a few minutes ago.
Randy, you want to go ahead and come on up and share?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Higwald, Linn County Emergency Management and Rural Fire. Previous weeks, the first week call data was we had 6 calls for that week. Last week's calls were 13 calls, brings our yearly total up to 402 for the year. Just an update on the pumper tender that we'd put a deposit on. I heard from their chief, their new truck has been delayed because of some electrical issues at the factory. So they pushed back kind of when they're looking at turning it over to us. So probably middle of October, but I just kind of wanted to keep you guys updated on that. We'll be starting our NFPA annual pump testing this year on the fire trucks today, be today and tomorrow. Get the trucks all certified for any truck that has a pump over 1,000 gallons per minute on it. And so we'll do 12 trucks in the county. So, but
Who does that for us?
we actually went with Hayes Fire and Equipment this year. We'd used another contractor before that. We'd had disputes the last couple of years on mileage coming here. Usually we set it up when we're going to do our pump testing, and then the cities will also go in and have their trucks pumped and tested at the same time that we do ours, kind of get everything done in the county at one time. And there's some discrepancies in billing, so we switched to a different contractor to try this year. Some of the other counties around us have started using this contractor, so we switched this year. So we'll see how it goes.
Where are we at with the mutual aid with the cities?
I have 2 out of the 3, just waiting for our attorney to review them.
Waiting for one with us to return or to review it?
Yeah, we have a attorney. I can hand them over and let them review them. With that being a contract, I don't think we would just want to approve them.
Okay. So what do we need to do on our end?
Just have an attorney look at them and then discuss them and see what you guys want to change, or if you want to approve them the way they are.
So do we need to just retain a lawyer for this, or do we ask Burton to do it, or what do you guys want to do?
Have we had any applications? Have we had any interest?
I know of one person that will step in and do stuff as we need, just charges accordingly. So, I don't know. Have you guys found anything?
I have not.
I haven't found anything. I've got one I'm still talking to, but nothing for sure.
How are we doing that right now, David? Are we just turning small things over to Burton and he's doing it, or?
He's done 2 or 3 things. We're just kind of in limbo on most of it.
Well, like I said, I have one guy that's interested in doing things as we need. He's not really interested in coming here, I don't believe, to set every Monday, but, and I don't want to say his name right now just because I haven't clarified everything with him, but I think we need to probably have somebody available, don't you guys?
I think that would be for the best.
Yeah, if you want to advise me where you want me to forward them, and I can get them out to whoever you want. So.
Oh, Randy, there was one thing. I had somebody in Pleasant reach out to me and they gave me this card. It's called Certified Life Safety. And it's a company out of Lewisburg, Kansas that's kind of like does what Cintas does with the fire extinguishers, the sprinklers, all that type of stuff.
Yes.
And they wanted me to share this with you. And I don't know if you want to give them a call. And I know they had watched us on YouTube probably, and they heard us talking about this type of stuff. So
Yeah, I have their contact.
you have their contact info?
Yeah, I went on. They actually recently done the fire alarm system at the Pleasanton weight room.
Oh, gotcha.
And so during the final inspection, they had to come out and do it. And so I've dealt with them and
Okay, good.
have their contact information. So
I don't have any more questions. Well, I guess on the attorney thing is I'll reach out to my contact and see if he's okay with it. And then I will share it with David this week if he is and his pricing, and we can forward that on to department heads and whatnot. Are you guys good with that?
And see what we think.
I'll have David send you guys what, his terms would be. And if you guys are okay with it, we'll let David know and move forward. Can we do that, David?
I would think so.
You don't want to come weekly. He just,
I don't believe he wants to come in here every week and just sit down, but I mean,
would
if
be
there's
available
push,
to us.
yeah, like by call or phone or whatever we needed to do. And I'll verify that today too.
all right, thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
I did not receive any kind of sheriff report. Yesterday was Kevin's last day, so I don't know if anybody's working on anything like that over there or not.
Is this one from the week?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what's in there is from last week.
So we got Tom, man. You ready?
Sean West, Public Works Administrator. First thing I have for you is BP 2024-08. This is a fiber conduit burial up near Parker for People's Telecom. Jesse's already looked at, and they're going to have on-site personnel for the water that's in the area in order to make sure if they strike a line, they've got that covered, but everything appears to be in order and the fees have already been paid.
So when somebody comes in and they apply for a burial permit, what stipulations do we give them? What's our policy that they know that we share with them? Because right now we don't really have one, right?
Well, the agreement or the application tells them what the guidelines and stipulations are. The companies that we're used to dealing with, like People and the local companies, we haven't had any issues with. The other companies are the ones that we typically have issues with as far as not adhering to our burial standards.
And as far as the policy, where we at on all that?
I'm sorry.
I said, as far as the policy, where are we at on the revamping of it or whatever we have going on with it?
All last week we were low staffed with Joyce gone, so we're not near the point where we need a legal review on it.
That's it.
I need to
I'll-
not be a part of it.
Oh, okay.
I have a conflict of interest.
Okay. You good with it, Jim?
I'm good with it.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve BP 24 or 2024 dash 08 for the People's Telecommunication Burial Permit, and Jason's going to sustain.
Correct.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Sean, as far as the permit stuff goes and getting on the computer, do you have a tentative date for that we can try to expect that to have to be done, or moving forward with it?
Well, we're going to start personnel evaluations as well here shortly. So I would say first blush is best guess would be 30 days.
And that's getting everything into that new program and all that too, or no?
Well, first we'll have to get a new permit approved, and then we'll have to work on pushing that through into the program. But yes, at the same time, after we've approved the permit, then we'll work on putting it into the new program and getting the guidelines into the program and starting to use that software as well. I think for a clean start date, once we get everything approved, that software, it would be very nice to start that on a year-end date and move forward. That way we can get a clean cut for historical records. The visit with Ham is scheduled for the 25th for the foremans to go on site to look at the rock grading procedures and to visit the Lewisburg lab. We've received the information back from Richie at Allen Brandrews and Associates for the airport. The survey was stamped and recorded. Darren did some background, but he's not available this morning. Here's some aerials and the survey. I have a larger copy in my office. The process, as I understand it, the next thing we need to do is get your approval to take it to Pleasanton and have the lot split done. They have a minimal fee, same as we would, and then the lot split can be done without a vote. It can be done by their planning and zoning and signed off on. Once it's signed off on and the lot is split, you'll need to contact an attorney to do the deeds on the two new properties.
So this was, what are we,
This is splitting out the farm, the hay ground at the airport. Correct?
Correct. Everything west of the runway.
that's all on track 160 acres.
Pardon me?
That all on track 160 acres, I guess.
Is that what it says?
This is all open
Yeah,
here.
another 75 too.
What about the entryway? Wasn't that an issue or statement you made?
We looked at it on this map. There, straight. Right as the split occurs, there will be enough put in within a 60-foot entrance. If for whatever reason that entrance is impaired by any utilities or anything else, then an easement could be given across the back end or north end to make access to it. So we don't see there's several options for that. We don't see it as an obstacle. The next step in this process would be,
Those are the lots.
That's where the lots are. Sold. Some of them.
the next step in the process would be directing Darren to work with Pleasanton and go through the process and have the lot split. Once the lot's split, because it is in the corporate city limits there and governed by their planning and zoning, once it's split, then you would have to hire an attorney to do the 2 new deeds on the 2 new properties.
I'm good with continuing the process.
How long does it take?
If you agree to have Darren go ahead and split the lot, that shouldn't take a week, and then we can hand it back next week, and quite possibly you send it out to whatever attorney you want to do the deed work.
Think it's good.
I'm good with it.
I am.
All right, we'll move forward with it.
Okay. I think you were given an email from KDOT giving you answers to the remaining costs. If we were to close the airport early, they're still working on a total. What they did was define what monies were still governed under that grant or those grants. And I'm still working with them to get a final answer. So basically the answer was, these are the grants that are subject to that agreement, and they are agreeing to sit down with their board and try to give us a number. Weather, I don't know what role it's played in it this morning, but we were supposed to get the last step on the back side of the courthouse repaired today.
They're working on it anyway.
Okay. There was an issue with the fall on the last step and making code. The code requirements required a slant to the step that was undoable as far as standing on it. So they're going to cut that step out. What made it difficult in the slant, a requirement was a drain tube. So they've come up with a workaround for the drain tube and going to make a landing and put the drain tube back in. And it should be done if they start today and finish it. The cure time will be, then we move on to the railing. After the railing's installed, it is a consensus of the staff and the recommendation from us that you go back and paint everything one solid color and prime and paint all of it semi-gloss black, including the old railing, to match. That will make all of it uniform and not deter or take away from the work that's been done.
Our maintenance guys are gonna do that.
Correct.
I'm good with it. You guys good with it?
I am.
I am.
Greater training. I continue to look for greater training and have a 2-day course set up with Bourbon County. They would do the classroom with us, and then we would both have individual on-site in the field training. It is $50 per person per day with no meals provided, and it would be scheduled in early October. I have to know what you want to do today in order to get this set up and accomplished by that date. This is through KU and the LTAP program.
What questions do you have for us, or what do you want from us?
Are we gonna allow him to go through with the grader training?
Just if that greater training suitable for what you were looking for,
Where's it
and
gonna be, here or?
the training, the in-classroom training will be here. Our day of on-site will be here, and then they will have a day of on-site with Bourbon County.
So ours go to Bourbon County also, or just?
No. They'll have an on-site day down there, an on-site day up here, and we'll combine the classroom training.
And how many people are we gonna have in it?
You're gonna have 8 to 9 personnel in it. At $50 a day, $100 per person.
I think it's pretty important. It's the first step.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I am too.
Sent you a packet on KDOT local projects update for RR 54C 35 or 532501, and then information on the field check for 54C 524501, which happens the 25th. These are your high-risk rural road projects, basically giving you the timeline and dates, telling you that these projects are moving on, and we're starting the north end with an on-site visit on the 25th with KDOT and the engineers to go over the project. And these projects are the 1095 improvements from 1650 North and 1650 South. The 1650 North will be the on-site 25th visit for the field check. And then the other information was 1650 South, and it's basically letting dates and keeping you updated on what the progress is in the schedule on that program. We have a Land Pride mower that I'd like to go out for bid for. That brush hog has seen better days. Believe it's a 21 unit.
2021.
2021 unit. Total quote for repairs at this time are just, I'm being told, we have a couple of parts on here that are unnecessary, so you're going to be about 7,300 to repair that unit at this time. That's basically a third of what we're looking for a new unit, and the repairs on this are wings and the seam lining for the wings and several rods. So from what I'm being told from the mechanics and the foreman, they would like to bid out a unit with a single wing that would be more suitable and do less damage as it's in the ditch with one wing still hanging over the roadway.
What's the lead time on getting this? Getting something, we're down that tractor right now then, right?
We have others that are up currently, and they are finishing up gravel and going to do their second pass on the hard surface roadways to finish out the mowing. This is looking towards next year's program, but it's something that we need to deal with before next year comes here. And getting the bid process started would only tell us what the maintenance versus a new unit would be. It would basically be me being able to get you all of the numbers to make a decision.
When's the best time to get numbers on a tractor? Middle of winter?
So the mower.
Mower. How heavy duty one are we looking at as far as buying? Are we buying?
Their recommendation, they have a product name, but their recommendation is not to go back with the Land Pride. They would like to go back with a much heavier unit that's more suitable and durable for this purpose.
That's what I'd do if I was buying them. I'd make sure I get the heavy duty, just
Me too.
why they get treated.
So, without mentioning specifics, yes, their recommendation is going to be a robust unit that's suitable for this type of use.
I'm okay with getting the quote so we can make a decision on whether we should repair or replace.
I'm good with it.
You got some photographs on the 900 Road project. The tubes will be delivered the 30th and the 1st for that project. Weather has impeded us getting the second set of tubes out and grading the base area. I don't know what that'll do as far as the rain we get later this week, but we should be set up when the tubes get here to start the installation process. And Todd, the engineer, and myself have a plan for the flowable mix and the barriers in between that are suitable. And at some point, once we get that set and ready to go and in the hole, before we start that flowable fill, I'd like to call the engineer down to make sure that we don't have, because these are such large tubes, that we don't have any issues with those moving, washing, and that we've got everything in place and ready to pour the way that he had engineered it.
So how long is it going to take to do it once the tubes are here?
As far as,
From start to finish, how long do you think it'll take? So we're using our road guys to do it, right?
correct. Weather depending, I don't believe we're looking a long time. It's setting on shelf rock. It's going to be buried a foot deep. The edges are ready. They'll have to form up the barriers in between for the flowable mix, set the tubes and band them together, and then get the flowable fill in there. There will be time to wait for the flowable fill to cure before we cover that back up.
What do we have to have the engineer look at once we put the flowable fill in?
It's before the flowable fill, the barriers that we're going to put in to make cells for the flowable fill, to make sure that those rise to the level. He wants half that tube from one side to the other covered in that flowable fill to anchor those tubes so they don't float. So since we have come up with a way to make cells to make the pour smaller and more manageable, we would like him to come down, take a look before we pour it, to make sure that what we put in place, he's already theoretically agreed with a design of that, but I'd like him to see it in place to make sure that we anchor these things and we don't have a problem. These are very large tubes.
Thoughts? Concerns?
We need to get it in.
Guess we'll proceed. You said the tubes will be here on the, one will be the 30th, you said?
I'm sorry,
Days you said the tubes will be here?
30 and the 1st. I met with Chad from Call Valley at Baskerville at that tube. he believes that the system that we're looking at bidding with the head walls is probably the best solution to it, because what we have now is basically dead men with old timbers holding up the head wall. And it'll also allow us to stay within the boundaries without buying new right of way, because the detachable head or wing walls could be welded in place and still not be a transportation issue. So he is working on the specs for the size of steel that we're going to need so that we can bid this out.
So while we're doing that, are we going to bid on this new issue on, was it 700 Red?
700 Road has been repaired and covered. As soon as we get 900, we haven't had any more sinking or issues. They're keeping an eye on that issue. Once we get 900 in place, we will address 700 and pulling that tube.
No, I'm talking about ordering the materials together
As far as ordering the tube size and
with this other project you were just talking about.
when we order it and bid it out, if we don't have that tube in stock or the materials in stock, we will bid them at the same time. Contacted a local tree service to get bids. At the end of the 900 tube on the east side, on the north end, there is a cottonwood that is directly in front of the tube entrance that needed to be removed, that's restricting water flow, but it's too large for us to manage. There's also a tree on Ungenhauer that we've bid in the past that is split and rotted out and is large enough to impair or impact electrical lines if not handled correctly. While I spoke to the tree service, I also asked them to bid the stump removal for the 2 stumps still remaining in the courthouse lawn, so that we would have a total price for those projects for me to bring to you.
I'm still stuck on the tube thing.
On,
I mean, so now since the storm, whenever that was, the flooding, whatever, we have 3 massive whistle issues that's underneath the road that keep caving in or being an issue, correct?
4.
Oh, that's even better. But I mean, we keep running this. We get one figured out and we run into another one. Why are we not having 2 guys go around and assess every single drainage under the road that we have and be marking all this stuff down so we can do it all at once and have one freight on material and get a plan together?
Well, first of all, the crew size that would be needed to do it and to accomplish that many tubes, I don't know that we have that manpower and to keep up with the ditching and tubes or the road maintenance that we're currently doing.
We don't have nobody to go around and just stop at each one and check it out.
I don't know that we have that personnel, but I can check on that. I don't know that we have, you would be talking about 2 people going to check
I
all
don't
the,
necessarily think it'd need to be 2 people, one person in a truck going around and having a list of it and where they're at on a map, and they note what's wrong with the, if it's in good shape, if it's bad shape, 1 to 10 on a scale, or, what's impeding the drainage. I mean, just all that stuff. I mean, I think that's important. We keep running these issues. Well, before we know it, we're going to be out of the federal funds to help us that cause this.
well, the ones that we have run into have been washes that were due to flooding, or like 900, not only due to flooding, but were seamed together with materials other than banding.
That's what I'm saying. Which
they-
is dangerous. I mean, we have sinkholes in the middle of the road and people are driving over them.
Well, and the Baskerville tube is a hand-laid arch with native stone with a one wall fallen out that has been anchored by dead men and timbers, and then a metal tube placed inside the failing tube.
So this is just helping my
But
case.
I remember on the Baskerville too, that it took a landowner to tell us about this. So why are we not checking them? I guess is since the storm. But Danny's got a good point because I recall that the landowner told us about it. So,
That's right.
so why do we have landowners telling us about this?
They are the ones finding it before we're able to.
I just think in the long run, we're going to hurt ourselves. We're having, now we have 4 different ones. We have 4 different times all these different things that have to fall into place to make all this happen. There's just so much overhead we're costing ourselves right now with, if we have to get material, we have to freight it here. We have 4 different types of freight instead of just figuring out a plan from the beginning to the end, which I think it starts with us designating one person in this county with a truck going around and assessing every single bridge and whistle that we have, or culvert, what do you guys want to call it, that go underneath the road. I think it's important for the safety of the Linn Countyans, because 700 road just happened, and what if somebody's going down that road and it happened in the middle of the night and they hit that going 55 miles an hour and it sinks in the front of their car and kills them. That's huge. I think that's more important than.
If you would like me to find personnel to try to accomplish that, I will make it a priority.
That's just me though. I don't know how long that would take. If it takes a month to do it, that's all they do all day, every day. I don't know. And they just give us every little detail and we figure it out from there.
I don't know how long it would take with the tablets we have because all of the culverts are marked on the culvert or on the tablets. So the process should tell us the size of those, and the larger size culvert tubes are what we're having the issues with.
Even with our grader operators, as they go by, we could check them, just step off the grader and look at them if they're in your area.
We have found several by doing just that. But not recently since the flood, because these are.
And can we still submit numbers and projects for the flood to being reimbursed?
We are. Somewhere in my notes, I'll have to find it. We're meeting with them again for the second round within the week. I believe it's on Friday, to start submitting those numbers and looking at those projects.
I'm a little behind, but these are all the culverts and tubes in the county. We've got about almost 2,400 culverts and tubes in Linn County, and we've got 211 bridges. That's a map of all of them. I don't think one person can do that.
We have a state plan that they go around and they check all the bridges, but they don't put a plan together for what we need to do. They do it for themselves pretty much, right?
They give us, and I've got a line item on that. They give us the required state requirements, and then we also have a list of bridges that need replaced and or high priority.
And there's how many, what'd you say, how many bridges? 211? Or what?
Yep, 211 bridges, 2,400 tubes.
2,400 tubes, and I think it's time we put a plan together for the tubes. What do you guys think?
I think it's something that's, when you drive by them on the grader or whatever you're doing, we could be checking them in or out daily.
And so they're going to just report that that tube's okay.
Yeah, they can mark it off their list as whether it's okay or needs work.
Okay.
If we have 9 grader operators or 8 grader operators, that narrows it down to quite 350 man. So if you get over it, within 2 or 3 months, you could look at all of them.
Well, my concern is I guess the longer it takes, the less opportunity we're gonna have to try to submit it for state funds to get reimbursed if the flood caused it, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
But I mean, I don't know, maybe we're at a point, Randy, do you know? Are we at a point where we can't submit stuff like that? Are we already past that point?
You just have to watch. It's caused during that time period.
That time frame.
And do they have like a shut off date on what we can submit?
Sean would get that thing pretty quick. When it can be submitted. The other problem is if you have pre-existing problems like that one that you shut, we're going to say, okay.
Well, yeah, of course.
But they're going to come back and say, due to prior maintenance, we're not paying for the whole project.
That's where and Jim, I see where you're coming from. I just think it'd be easier to hold somebody accountable if that's all they did and they focused on that. I mean, a grader operator, they're going to, worry
What
about.
I'm saying is of the 2,400 tubes, Danny, probably there's going to be very few of them that anything happened in the storm.
right.
They're plugged up or, we could be looking at them and marking them on our list of needing repair or replaced.
The majority of what I think you're going to find is plug tubes or ends that need cleaned out. So they're going to have to find the tube. So one person, as opposed to multiple people looking in different areas, one person's going to take quite a bit of time to find the end of a tube, even though he's going to have a map telling him where it's at.
What if you had one person per district or per barn that went around and did it?
I think the ones that you're going to find that they'd look at to replace are the bigger ones anyway. It's not going to be the little 2 foot
Right.
tubes because they're going to be plugged up. I mean, if you got the 8 or 9 foot ones are the ones that we've had trouble with, or the 4 foot ones where we've shoved a tube in a concrete culvert, and we've done that places and widened them, backfilled them. Those might be, but they're just like Randy says, they're not going to help us pay for those when they look at it and said that we've extended them with the tube when it was a concrete culvert.
Right. And I think that's where some individual would give us more, clarity on what's going on with the tube rather than just a grader jumping out and taking a look at it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe we have a person in each district and we assign them more than just that. They do the culverts, they do, trees in the right of way. I don't know. I mean, because we're still not really, do you guys feel like we're getting anywhere with forward progress with cleaning ditches and all that?
Not like I want to see.
I think we made it real evident what we're trying to do over the camera, and I think I get more phone calls now making me aware of the bad ditches in my district, and we still really don't.
Well, I got phone calls this last week over people who were grading the roads, and then I can go here. I guess it's that it's us that's wanting the roads graded, and I realize we have said that, but along the same fact, why can't we clean the ditch out while they're in the dry times instead of just grading the road? And I got told by a landowner that it was they were told to keep grading the roads, and I would say that's right that we did say that, but we're also saying that we want the ditches cleaned out too.
Well, I did receive 2 calls last week begging me not to grade certain areas because of the dust and the overgrading in those areas. Luckily, we got some rain. Now, we'll get a little bit more this week, and that'll impair some of the other operations and abilities. But yes, we've graded the roads to the point that I have received calls asking me not to grade certain roadways because of the dust.
What I'm
And
saying is, why aren't we cleaning ditches while we're doing this instead of the grading of the roads? In the dry times, we was told when we had all the foremans in there that August was the best time to clean ditches. I haven't seen that many ditches cleaned up.
Are the ditches being cleaned just as a fill-in item? I mean, or I don't,
I know that, like in your area, we've cleaned ditches and put in culverts to control waterway problems that were reported to us, to open up ditches and culverts to move water. They've also, in that same area, been trying to pull the 900 tubes at the same time. As far as the other shop areas, I know they've been doing tube installations, and I went to one ditching project in a low water area.
my thing on the tube installation is if the ground or if the ditches aren't running away from those tubes correctly, all that water is just sitting on that tube and it's sitting there and it's rotting in that tube.
Well, I don't know that we're putting any tubes in without opening the water flow around them.
I don't think we have a plan here. I think we're just going off of work orders. I don't know. I mean, that's where I'm confused. That's why we have no accountability for it. So how do we get mad at anybody and say that people ain't doing their job if we don't even know what we're expecting of them? I think it starts with a plan, and I think that's why we should have somebody, maybe maybe a person in each district, they inspect the tubes and the drainage ditches along the way, and they give a plan for that district, and they
Would that not be something the supervisor ought to go out and look at an area and decide what we're gonna do in an area and clean the ditches? Would that be fair to say that?
I mean, I don't know what the plan is. I think whatever we can do, but right now we can't hold anybody accountable for anything because we don't have a plan. I mean, don't you agree?
What about our new operations director? The position that we posted, isn't that part of this solution? Trying to bring in that person to sit over the entire thing and create.
Yeah, but that's been going on for 2 months.
Do we have applications?
I have applications to discuss in executive time for non-elected personnel for several issues, and that included.
But at the end of the day, we still don't know how we expect things to be ran in each district, do we?
I'm sorry.
We still, I mean, even though we have some applications, we don't know what we're going to tell them of our expectations of them, right?
Well, my expectations is to figure out how to get the water in the ditches and get it away. I mean, I don't think we have to
Start working together
I think we give them the idea they should look at the job and figure out how to keep the water off the roads, what it takes to the culverts, and start with one area, like we've talked about a lot of times.
And start moving through, right?
It isn't something we're gonna fix the whole county in a year. This thing's gonna take a long time.
That it is.
But, my fight on that is we still don't have a plan. And that's where I think that a crew would come in, a crew that, so we have people that just mow ditches, correct? That sit in that tractor and they just mow, right?
We have part-time seasonal mowers that work through the summer,
People that sit in a grader and they grade.
correct?
Then why the hell do we not have somebody that sits in a backhoe and cleans ditches and assesses them?
Backhoe, the only one we have,
Not to don't get stuck on the little point. I'm just saying, why do you not have somebody that is designated for that alone? That's important. That's where I think everything starts.
well, I think just hearing the conversation and looking at the mass and size of it, my recommendation to you would be to allow GIS to identify those culverts 48 inches or greater, ask those road graders in those areas to look at or evaluate those large tubes first. And when they run into those, to call their foreman to evaluate that tube system. Because again, you're asking a grader operator to make a decision on banding, on the tube itself, on the condition of it. In order for accountability, if they find something that should be looked at further,
So the grader operator is going to call it in, and then a supervisor and
Should go look
another
at it.
guy are just going to drive all the way out there to look at it, instead of us just getting a plan together and.
well, the supervisor should look at it and put it on the list for replacement if he believes it needs replaced, cleaned out, or repaired. And that should be the individual to determine whether we're replacing a pipe or
Anyway,
repairing a
it'd be
pipe.
good if we just would put this on the supervisors to start working on the big tubes where they're at, because they should drive their areas. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
They should be
I
driving
think that
their
would be
areas.
reasonable.
Huh?
I think that would be
To
reasonable.
put it on the supervisors to tell them to start looking at the tubes and let them start working up a plan.
Right?
But we did the
Because
same
they
thing.
should be out looking at their areas, not that they get over the whole area in a week
Right.
but over a month, they should be driving the roads.
I mean, but we did the same thing with the ditches, and I have no idea in my district where their thoughts are on the ditches. It sounds like they get work orders and they put drain tubes in, and then they just kind of clean the ditch on each side.
That's what I don't think we're getting I don't think our operators are getting the guidance they need to make sure we start cleaning the ditches out. Just like where we're grading the roads so much that we're getting complaints, why aren't we cleaning ditches instead of grading roads? If it's that good, I mean, I don't know. I didn't go drive the road to see what it was, but I did get a couple complaints.
I just think we're leaving it in too many hands doing it that way. I think we should have somebody that's responsible and that are.
Okay. Well, let's do like what Jim said there, Danny, and
Let's put it on the supervisor.
right for each district.
They should know where the big tubes are. I mean,
As a rule.
as a rule, they should know where most of them are in their district.
Have them bring back an assessment for each area. Right?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
To start, I think. As long as we get something.
Well, if you're good with it, let's say it. That's what we're expecting, and give them a time frame where we start getting notifications of.
Because do you feel like that this is going to come, these funds are going to come to an end, Randy, pretty quick? So we need to get on this pretty quick, yeah? So are we doing anything over like a certain diameter that they need to check? Let's just be very.
You're going to get into, Danny, where we've scabbed it together,
Mhm.
and it's not a tube. And just like Randy said, whenever they see that, that's a no-go. That's going to be our deal.
Right.
So I don't think you're going to have as many as what you think.
Right. But I think at the same time, we identify all that stuff and we can help us get a plan put together.
Yeah, you could put a size on it, 3 or 4 foot tube, and go start checking them. Because I think if you get down to the smaller ones, they're going to be plugged up anyway. It's going to be something that you can't prove happened
Right.
in May.
Right. I agree.
And I think with the orders that we've made and the progress that we've made as far as repairing or replacing tubes, that I'll bring to you what we've done so far this year so you can understand that we have ordered 2 orders a year for the last couple of years for those tubes. And we have been aggressively replacing tubes for these reasons. What we're running into is the larger tubes that we have not replaced.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And
I think those systems are the ones that we need to focus on.
I mean, you order more at one time, you're gonna get a better deal. You don't have, I mean, that's just common.
But what we've been ordering are generally 48 and smaller. So that's what we've been focused on, and we're starting to see large tube failures. So if we need to evaluate those, then we focus on those.
Okay, so what are we, from start to finish, what are we gonna expect of those supervisors to do? To check out tubes that are,
4 foot or bigger.
okay,
I would be good with that.
And we want to have our assessment by November 1st.
you think that's enough time, Randy?
They should be able to, they, problem we're running into is proving that that damage was done during that April storm. Like recent rain and stuff like that, going back through that damage.
I would say that'd be
burden on Sean and saying, hey, we just found this from April in September, why wouldn't it come quicker or anything like that?
I can tell them to call me, I'll tell them why.
That would be-
Nobody doing it. I mean, regardless of trying to take advantage of the funds that could be available, we're still creating a plan to make things better where we're not having sinkholes in the middle of the road.
I'm good with November 1, where we got it. Over.
Just over 30 days. Gives them time to get a plan together and get it moving and get this information back to us.
So we're on the same page. 4 foot or bigger tubes assessed. So can we give each one of them? You said GIS can do that, Sean?
We should be able to cut down the list by the size of the tube. Each tube is numbered.
And then give it to them and have it back by November 1st. And I guess they're going to look to see if they know if it's clogged up, if it's damaged, if it's bad, if it's about to cave in. Is that kind of what we're looking for?
Yep.
Right?
Plugged, covered, brush,
Effed? I'm just kidding.
rotted out,
Is there anything else?
or scabbed. And that's what we're finding a lot. One tube stuffed inside another tube. If it's not installed properly, it needs to be reinstalled.
Okay.
Now, it may not be a priority, and what I would say, if you're going to ask each one of these foremans to build this list, that the list should come to you as a priority from the worst to the least concerning. If it's flowing water and it's just needing reinstalled because the angle in the ditch needs to be changed or the cut coming down to it, I would focus on the worst and ask them to list those out in priority.
I think that makes sense.
Can we create some kind of format where they just check it so they don't have to put a lot of thought into it? They just check like the size, 1 to 10. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to make it easy for them because I don't want it to.
I will look at the last evaluation sheets when it was done the last time and see if there's a checklist.
To see if the tubes were checked or
There is a book or a binder the last time these were done in this very similar fashion.
they probably didn't make printers.
Just put a rating on it, 1 to 5, and they know what
No,
it
yeah.
is, and they just fill up, make a form for them, and rate it from 1 to 5, whether need a repair or.
Need a repair.
And then that'll help set the priority. Right? We're not recreating the wheel here.
So get that together and then start working off their list.
Right.
Yeah, what I'm scared of is the whole sinkhole things happening. That's not okay. That's scary. Do we have to have markers by law on each side of the tube too? Is that something?
The graphite markers marking the ends of the tube, if there's an obstruction in the roadway, I don't know what the Mudco standard is for it because I haven't been trained in it, but I could not imagine that marking tubes, bridges, or obstructions would not be somewhere in that standard.
Maybe we put that on there too. If they think it needs a marking, they need to identify that. Good? You guys good with that?
I think those are good things.
All right, well. That's a lot of fun. You guys want to see that?
Good.
I know. It's a lot.
You ready?
Ready?
Next thing I have for you is a memorandum of understanding with the city of Pleasanton for the senior center. You were sent some photographs on this project. There is an island owned by the city at that corner that is grass covered and has 2 trees on it. In conversations with the city, they have to pay to mow it, and we're limited on parking in that area. This is something that would cost very little for us to scrape out, clean out gravel, and then spray like we do the rest of the lot because we have no grass over there to manage on our part of the property. But it would offer a lot more parking and be accessible to utilities because it's only grass covered. It's not a hard surface if there should be utility maintenance in the future. In discussions with staff, an MOU seems to be the quickest way of doing it between the 2 administrators. With your approval, we would do the work, we would maintain it, they wouldn't have to mow it, and
Right here.
the agreement would be null and void at any point between any party wanting to back out of it. I mean, it's the easiest, quickest solution to a problem that's really rather easy to manage.
But it's nothing that, it's not time sensitive at all though, right? We're not going to stop doing what we're doing
It is not a time-sensitive project.
because whenever I first brought this idea up of the senior center, I'd talked to Eddie Haynes next door about, people parking. 'Cause it's kind of weird how the property line is, and he was totally fine with it. So I just don't want to pull people off of what we're trying to accomplish right now to go do this. Because right now it's not really hurting us at all.
No. Although there are opportunities when it is too wet to do other things, to possibly go remove some material or dump a load of gravel there and stage it. I would leave it to the foreman to tell me, hey, today's a good day with nothing else available to us to go drop this because this is a hard surface and it's pretty easily managed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you have material, drop it off, and if you have a skid steer going by, do it and be done with it. I don't think, I mean, right?
There shouldn't be a lot to this project.
I wouldn't think so.
But again, I'd have to have your consent to enter into agreement with the city administrator.
I'll make a motion that we allow Sean to enter into the agreement with the city of Pleasanton for the small triangle parcel on the southeast corner of East 6th and Main Street.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Are you leaving the 2 trees there or taking them out?
In the MOU, I asked to remove the trees for the parking.
Okay, yeah. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Need to sign that, or you got that there? Yes, sir.
That's the.
Oh, do you need to sign that?
That will be the administrator's.
Okay.
And then I'll bring it back to you. The next thing I had, we addressed before, and I spoke to Pleasanton about, and this is their resolution on speed signs around the lakes, and whether or not we needed to do a traffic study before, and these are roadways, county roadways, they're dealing with the roadways inside the lakes. These are county roadways adjacent to those properties, and looking at speed control and safety in those areas. If you want me to do a traffic study, I can, but that's completely up to you as to whether or not you want to go ahead and sign a resolution and reduce the speed in those areas.
We don't need to do anything around the lakes itself, just on our roads, right?
Not in the lakes or in the properties, the adjacent roadways.
But we're within regulations of the state of the speed limit that's there right now, right? And we have postage and all that stuff.
You have everything posted.
So, I mean, what do we,
They're asking for safety complaints and concerns to reduce those speeds in those areas, in those recreational areas or the boundaries around them.
so why would the city not do all their duty and do their homework and come back to us with a study already proven that it needed to be lowered?
If you're asking me to ask them, if you're wanting a study and you're asking me to get the price for the study and tell them to move this project forward, that they would have to pay for the study or pay part of the study, then I believe the last study in that area or in Pleasanton was $500. So if you're asking me to go to them and see if they're willing to pay for the study or a portion thereof, then that's what I'll do.
And what do you, the newspaper will put everything I said wrong. So what do you guys think on it?
Or if we're within guidelines of where we're at, I don't think we need to get set a precedent of changing the speed limit. We see somebody else to be back in here, want us to change it on a gravel road or something.
Probably so.
So I don't feel that we need to myself, if we're within the guidelines. Unless I choose
That's
to
on the
do it
record.
yourself.
Unless they can prove to us why it needs to happen.
I think that's what needs to happen. They come, if that's what they want, they prove to us they do their duty, and if that's what they want to do, they do the study, they pay for it, and we okay it, right?
If we choose to, yeah, right.
So if you're okay with me asking them to perform the study, if they want to go forward with this, and then bring you the results of the study showing that it should be, for safety reasons, brought down, that's what I'll
Okay.
direct.
Yeah, I think as little time as you have to put into it, because you have enough going on this side of the county, so, or on your side of the thing, so. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think it's,
That's the next discussion I'll have with them about that and move forward with it. You had asked earlier about the 24 bridge inventory. It has been complete. That is the manual that's attached. And in your questions, you asked about the priority of what bridges and whether or not we're prioritizing those bridges for replacement and or repairs, or how we personally are using that list as opposed to just turning it into the state. Those spreadsheets at the front are that answer to that
this is the
question.
first time we've done this, right?
I'm sorry,
This the first time we've done this
this
spreadsheet?
No, I've presented it once before to you during other discussions. But yes, it's the first time since I've been here it was developed. We looked at it at another date during the discussion on bridges, but we're focused on a different conversation at the time.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what I'm envisioning. Yeah, I mean, this is,
One of those bridges on that list could be replaced with tube systems and made less than a bridge. One of the other bridges on that list could be abandoned and given to property owners that have already agreed to take it as long as we did some simple riprap and erosion control.
So which one is that?
It's in, help me out, on the main street of 1077 south of Parker, the small community there,
Goodrich.
Goodrich. If you go south on the main street, there's a bridge in there that has some erosion issues, but the property owners on both sides have agreed to take it. We just don't have the legal means at this point to make the agreement.
Well, yeah, I don't want that to stop us on trying to move forward on things. Like,
The plus to all of this is each bridge we take off that inventory and get rid of, such as putting tubes in and making it less than a 20-foot span and taking it off bridge, or get rid of like we would in Goodrich, we would get a large sum of money. I believe the answer starts out at $50,000 towards each one of our matching grants, like the high-risk rural roads. So it would save you the matching funds towards those other projects and leave that in your special road fund to deal with culverts or other large issues.
so you're saying that our holdup is legal?
To deal with at least two of those, and then the other would be looking at that special road fund, what was left, and trying to find grant money available for those type of bridges on those type of roadways.
So do you already have everything that you want to send over to legal? Questions, concerns, comments, agreements?
I have several items that I would have to bring to them, including that and the airport. If you're asking me to direct a list of legal items that need to be discussed and send that out in my next packet, I'll send those out.
Okay.
And I can pile those up in pretty short order.
Yeah, I don't want that to stop us. I'm gonna reach out to an individual today and talk to him and make sure I have all the facts right and try to move forward with it and send it to David, and he'll let everybody know. So, so I know there's one or two historic bridges in Linn County that are pretty significant to the Historic Society of the state. Are they listed on here, Sean?
One of them is the Goodrich Bridge.
So it could be wrong, but so this Ungenauer Road is another
The
one.
archway on Ungenhauer.
Yeah. So
I believe you're correct, but I'd have to check the records.
I'm pretty sure we have to, do we not keep up to date on the description of those bridges or the state of those bridges or anything like that? If it's on the registry, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to present all that stuff to them, and then we have to put a plan together to get okayed before we can touch them. I don't think they can tell us what or we can and can't do, but we have to put a plan together to let them know. I could be wrong, but I think it's kind of a process.
Oh, I believe you may be somewhat correct, but so far the inventories that we've done have been simple repair, erosion control, other things, guardrails, nothing structural.
Right, but I know that bridge is pretty,
Approaches, So there's been no need to, I guess, delve in deeper to that answer yet for me. But I will put it on the list and send it out to you as
Can I
part
have
of,
this?
yes, part of the things that I need to discuss legal with.
You want to see that?
I'll get a couple small items. I'm going to jump around for a second. We need to address our membership on the STARS board. It's coming up next month for their meeting. And I'd have to assume that that would be either we would attempt to identify an economic development person and hire them before then, or make an interim until that person's available to take that position.
I would be willing to fill in on an interim basis.
I'm good with it.
I'm okay with it.
Do we need a motion on that, David?
I think
Probably be a good idea.
for the appointment, my understanding is
I'll make a motion that we allow Jason to step into the intern position for the STARS program at Pleasanton until that seat is filled with the economic development director.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
we may have other board positions that need to be addressed for that position in order to keep not only filled or quorums in those areas, but I can bring those back to you if need be. But I'm trying to recall just off the top of my head, one of them, I think, Danny, you are filling in on.
I tried doing it over Zoom and it didn't work. I was in contact with Jessica and we couldn't, I can't remember what it was called.
Regional planning.
And they need a proxy to sit in there. And I can do it if I can get on it. I couldn't get onto the Zoom. I couldn't get onto the meeting. So I don't know.
Regional planning does affect some of the road things that we're doing. If you'd like, until we get someone available, I could put that on my schedule and it wouldn't to zoom in if I had to or appear. But the information that they put out on some of the grant opportunities in the area and stuff are very important.
Yeah, if you would, that'd be great. Yeah, it's like I said, I just tried to do it on my phone on a job site. It didn't work.
If you'd like, I'll be happy to take that until we find somebody.
But I'm good with that.
So I'll make a motion that we appoint Sean temporarily to the, what is
Regional Planning Board.
the SEK Regional Planning Board?
I'll second. Motion been moved and seconded. More discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Evergy is done with phase one of the 3 phases and has moved on to phase 2 of their project. Jesse's been very impressed and been on top of making sure that all of the handholds and the lines have been covered properly. And we've been in constant communication with them and each other about this project. I believe it's working well. And they are going to move on to phase 2 and we'll continue to watch this project to and through phase 3 to try to close it out.
So do we need to engage ourselves again? Are you guys good with just letting Jesse do it and moving forward? Do you guys want to be in, should we go check out the end of phase 1 or no?
Have we actually seen it? I mean, how will we know by looking at it, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I mean, do we want to stay in connection in the middle of it, or should we just let Jesse do it and Sean? And
I think we should just let Jesse do it.
are you good with that?
We assigned him to manage that part. We have his report. that it's moving along smoothly.
Do they need to
Have we had
provide
any more
employee?
complaints? I haven't either.
Do we need anything, any documentation signed? Do we need anything?
I've got everything in correspondence through email, not only from Evergy or from their engineers, but also through Jesse telling them what follow-ups have to be completed, and then the completion of that project before I send an email telling them to move forward. So I think we've documented that well. I think the documentation we're going to need is the final as-built when it's done.
As far as that, where are we at with, is it Landtel or on the west side of the county? Have they ever got us anything with their as-built?
I'm
Quick
going to
comment.
bring you that
Yeah, quick on.
in just a moment, but that is a little bit larger discussion. We can either go into that, or we're slated, currently, we're about 5 minutes behind to discuss Devlin Road.
What do you guys want to do? Give Sean a break or let him talk about, you don't get a break, but do you want to talk about?
I would like a drink, but,
Go grab you a drink real quick and we'll get going with Renee.
okay, thank
You guys
you.
good with that?
Yep.
And then right after that, we got Josh, and then get back into the.
Then it'll be on the DVD on the conference call. Right?
Yep.
Todd has completed the preliminaries. As you remember, the two companies that we put it out to bid couldn't find anybody to do the prep work. So we asked Todd to look at what the prep work would entail and what it might cost. From what he's looking at as far as, and this includes FEMA rates to fuel, manpower, aggregate, culverts. The unknown might be anything that we strike as far as utilities or anything doing this ditching or prep work. But at this point, he believes the prep work for this is going to be near 520,000, just over. As you remember, our bids were 254, 284, and 263, 577. This is going to put you in the neighborhood of 850 for the total of that project. And if you complete that project, I do have recommendations on which company to use, because one of the two companies is bidding a double chip and seal, a 2-layer coat, in order to make the surface last and be able to withstand heavier traffic without swags, breakage, cracking. So if you do make that decision, I do have recommendations for you. I did get an update from Miami County in talking to their road and bridge director. He went to his commission directed him with these guidelines. If Linn County completes this project, they will then do a traffic study and a financial evaluation as to whether or not it is beneficial to complete their portion of the project.
So that means no, if people aren't listening, right? That means no, they're probably not going to do it, correct?
That is exactly what I was given as an answer, that I was told if we complete our portion of this, that is their commitment, to do a traffic study and look at their financial benefit and their road projects to determine whether or not to complete their end of the project.
Where would we pay for this out of?
It would have to come out of special road and bridge.
And what do we have in there?
Give me just a second.
This is Todd's and the two bids, if you want to look at any of them.
And as far as this road on our long-term plan, it fell on the list where?
As far as long-term planning, as far as hard surfacing,
Yeah.
we had not had it identified ourselves.
But it was brought to attention for this, because why? Can you explain that?
It was brought to our attention because in the area, there are geographical limitations as far as emergency services and trains that block intersections, preventing people getting to hard surface roadways from that side of Parker to get north to medical attention, was my understanding.
Didn't AMR, one of their representatives, make a comment about it didn't hinder them at all? Do you guys recall that?
I don't remember that.
They were non-committal,
So
they weren't aware that it was an issue.
Right.
Special Road and Bridge has $1,059,868 right now.
And of that, you're committed to two high-risk rural road projects for your part of those.
And we've already taken the Hells Bend Bridge out of there.
And have we paid on that yet? I don't know without looking at records.
I was just trying to think of what we had outstanding.
It's Fund 112. See what I can find in here.
I believe we paid Hell's Bend as part of the agreement because we had a deadline. Now the high-risk rural roads will have similar deadlines as they reach those parts of those projects, but those projects are quite a bit smaller.
Well, I talked to one commissioner and he said they would look into it, as they didn't say no, is what I'm saying, but I don't, there's no guarantee.
They're probably not as direct as us.
Uh,
I said they're probably not as direct as us.
Is that 180,000 on Hell's Bend?
Yep.
Does that sound right? We paid that out of there already.
Okay, so that's already
So
out.
paid.
So we're talking about the high-risk roads.
So you're looking at the high-risk rural roads and Baskerville, whatever the tube on Baskerville, and the completion of the 900, although some of those funds will be coming back. Baskerville, 900, and the Centerville tubes are the largest projects we have going here shortly in the near future.
Yeah, the other expense we've had out of that fund this year was just under 34,000 to Superior Bowen Asphalt Company. So whatever we were doing asphalt on.
So around $1 million to do the project?
If you factor in anything that the unknowns, this is what we know, about 850 for the project. If you factor in any unknowns, I would say $1 million would be the top end. That it should be able to fit between 850 and $1 million.
And that would do what to the remaining plans that we have for the county in the years to come? Where would that put?
That would add mileage to the hard seal roadways that you have to maintain, which would be more chip and seal and more
Which is required.
crack seal. And
Which is required by statute, right?
I'm not sure about the statute, but the road safety part of that, if you build it, you've got to maintain it to a standard of safe travel. So in those hard surface roadways, we are 200 miles and we're getting 20 miles of repairs a year. So we were getting 25, but the cost raised. So you're looking at an 8-year cycle at this point on something that should be a 5-year cycle. So it is a very strained program at this point, but you are talking about, I don't know, 3 miles, 2 miles.
And it was brought to the front of the list just because of claimed it was safety.
The attention of the citizens in that area and the concern about medical transports to the north end to hospitals. And I'm sure that we've got citizens here that could speak on that concern more than I could, but that's my understanding.
If we just look at the bridge deal that we just got, that's 3.3 million that we would need approximately, and that's in 2022 dollars. 3.3 million in the next 5 to 10 years if we're replacing. Now that doesn't factor in the getting rid of it or things that way, I don't think.
If you get rid of a couple of them, you'll not only save the repairs, but you'll factor in 100,000 towards your high-risk rural roads and other things. That's why the Goodrich project, I estimate from what the property owner said, you could do less than 10 grand in clearing brush and putting riprap along the erosion areas, and they would be willing to accept that. So for the 10 grand, you're going to acquire 50 plus. So it's a $40,000 plus to the county at least to turn around and put that back in our high-risk rural program. But that is not cash dollars. Those are matching dollars that you would not have to pay towards those programs.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't. So the concern is driving on gravel to get to pavement and then the railroad track, right? Is what you said?
It's getting around the railroad tracks is how it sits. So like,
So I'm not really familiar with the area, so I don't really know what. I mean, what would be the difference in that than like at Boycourt?
none.
None?
We have numerous areas just like this throughout the county.
Are you pulling up on a map?
I'm trying to.
Just gives them an opportunity to go direct to 169. Not a railroad track, and the other way they could hit 2.
Why is Google not allowing me maps? There we go. So where we're talking is right over here. Okay. So here's our railroad track. Right here. We got Parker right here. Here's our paved road coming over to 1077, heading north, right there. And where we would be putting this and paving would be from this paved road going to Greeley north, right here. So it'd be these miles right here, the county line. So almost 3 right there.
Then Miami County's how far? How do they go?
Miami County has it paved down the hill, so they are, how far?
A little over a mile is what I thought, isn't it? On down to the county line, is that right?
Maybe not quite a mile
Right in there somewhere.
is what they've got left because they're paved from 169 to 391st, and then south of 391st part of the way. So like just to the base of the hill, there they have paved with chip and seal.
So from 391st, if they stop there, that'd be about 2 miles to the county line.
Right, but it comes south.
I think it's a little over a mile is what I thought.
Okay. Okay, yeah, because it's not going to reach that road right there because
Awesome.
they've got a bridge to replace. It's narrow because I can't get across it with my mower.
They're replacing the bridge, aren't they?
Right now,
Getting ready to or something.
I don't know. I haven't been that way for,
Thought somebody said there was, or was going to maybe.
Well, anything else you want to add to it, Sean, or does anybody want to talk, or what do you guys think?
That's what I have for you unless you want to take any commentary on it.
you gotta let Renee speak.
She was something. She,
Can I say something?
Come on up.
Closest hospital is Miami County Hospital. There is no hospital in Anderson County unless you go off the beaten path. Also, too, to get to a trauma center, you have to take a major highway. And Garnett doesn't have a major highway where the hospital is there. So the fastest and quickest way to get to a trauma center is 169 highway going north. And it'll take you to Miami County. And if you have to go to a trauma center, it'll take you right straight to Olathe. The other thing is we have several railroad tracks in northwest Linn County. We don't just have one, but we have to cross. The emergency vehicles, I've been on one where I rolled my car, and it's very, very rough on you to lay in the back of a car, a vehicle like that, on gravel roads, plus the railroad tracks. The trains now are 2 to 3 engines. They're going 2 to 3 engines now on trains. They're not short trains. And like I said, I know it's been a couple of months, but there was a fire in Parker, and the train was stuck right there on the track, and the fire trucks couldn't get to it. The building completely burned down. We have a lot of seniors. We have children there. If there's any trauma, it takes a heck of a lot longer to wait on a train than it does to have a emergency road that's chip and sealed, which we have none, that go to a major highway to get you to a hospital. So those are the issues that we've had, and we've had them for several years. We've tried this 10 years ago. They were supposed to finish this Devlin Road, and they didn't do it 10 years ago. When we first moved there, we were told that Devlin Road would be completed. And I do think that Miami County will finish that 1.5 miles.
well, $1 million is a lot of, maybe we should be thinking about an overpass bridge instead. I don't know.
I'm sorry,
Maybe we
what?
should
I
think about
have
it.
trouble
Maybe we should be
understanding
thinking
it,
about an
Danny. I'm
overpass
sorry.
bridge over the railroad tracks. Is that not a concern then? There's a lot of places like this in Linn County. We don't have a plan for it. It's kind of been thrown in.
If it's, I don't know what you're holding off on the decision, if it has to do with Miami County not completing their 1.5 miles. I can almost say that they're going to complete it if they don't trust Linn County, because like I said, Linn County was supposed to have done this several years ago and they didn't do it. And so they kind of don't trust. So that's why they're saying we've got to complete ours before they'll finish their 1.5 mile. But I know that I'm sure that they will do it.
Thoughts?
And we had a director of the school, transportation, also sent a letter years ago, when I started this whole thing on trying to get an emergency road chip and sealed, he wrote a letter to the commissioner saying that for safety concerns, he is all for getting a chip and sealed road there.
I mean, I think that would be evident
Ideal,
everywhere in the county.
right.
I think everybody would like to have that, but that's not possible. So
I don't think we're questioning the need for it, Renee. I think we're questioning the practicality of it.
Okay, what about if you split up is it the money? Is it the cost of it? Some of that? Because we could split up and do, a couple of miles here and then a mile later on. It doesn't have to be all at one time if it has concern of money.
Well, I'm sure it's the expense. I mean, that's a big factor in it, Renee. Like the prep work I didn't think would be that high myself, but and maybe we keep looking for somebody that's just put it back out to bid again or something, or keep reaching out and see what we can come up with. What do you guys think?
I'm a plan. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, if you have any more questions, I'm here.
You guys think?
Let me reach out to Miami County and just see what they say as far as.
Go from there.
Yeah, and then, like I said, the prep work, that's more than what I wanted to give. I mean, or what I thought. I don't know. We tried to reach out to get somebody to get a bid.
And we didn't get anything.
We didn't get anything there.
If we do that, I have one recommendation or suggestion. Let me contact one of the two companies and ask them to hold their bid for another 30 days. One guarantees a 30-day bid, one guarantees a 60. If I ask the other to guarantee a 60, then you would have a window allowing you time to make conversation but I
I think
need,
that makes sense.
And if you cut it down, like you're saying, Renee, if we cut it down, our asphalt bill is gonna go up because
They're going to deploy twice.
they're gonna have to deploy twice. If we cut it down and just do half now, that bid's gonna go up, so we're gonna have to figure out something. It could, but their deployment is their big issue whenever they come to that. If we cut it in half.
I mean, me personally, I'll stay where I'm at. I'm not in favor of it right now. I think that we should utilize the funds in the special bridge and road to maybe hire a firm to come in and tell us what we need to do, how to keep us in compliant, what's safe, what's not, maybe how to do the ditches, what's most practical. Pay them to do that, and then we make a plan based off what they provide to us moving forward. I mean, because if we do this for one person that come in here and had a very strong case about a road, there's going to be multiple people. And how do we We just can't-
That doesn't have access to a highway. You do have one trailer track there on 1077. We have two more in park besides that one. But that would be, I don't know what you mean by access. I don't think there's any other place in Linn County that doesn't have access. We don't have a hospital south. I mean, you have to go to Pittsburgh to go to a hospital. I don't know if there's any, I don't know. I don't think there's any hospital south. So a lot of people will be going north to a hospital, probably after this, like in the county, will be going north. So it's a lot closer to a hospital. This isn't gonna just serve Parker, this is servicing, Centerville and Mount. Because Blue Mound,
So-
all of them have to come east first.
So just,
and then go-
so if we're servicing south of Parker, you know, they're going to have to run gravel to get around Parker, right?
There's no, it's all chip and seal.
But
The
no,
only part-
I'm talking about, so if they're coming from the south, Renee, if they're coming from Centerville, they're gonna have to run gravel to get around to this road and cross the railroad tracks at some point, right? Because coming into the south of Parker is
Right,
railroad tracks there.
And then there's a railroad track in Parker, and then there's the railroad track in 77. It's one track.
Right.
But it's crossings, 3 of them.
You're crossing it 3 times, but what I'm saying is that they're still having to go around the railroad track somewhere if the train is blocking it at Parker.
Yes, it's gravel roads, but all of east of Parker is got a railroad track.
Well, I know that here, what is it, probably what, Sean, 3 or 4 months ago, when Hell's Bend was going on, I sent you the email from the Department of Transportation and BNSF that is going through and doing an assessment on all their crossings through Linn County. Do you recall that?
I remember
Do you
that.
remember that?
Want to do less crossings.
They're wanting to do away with that, and it's, so they're actually, now that I think, but there is a study going on, and they are looking into
Limiting their crossings.
limiting it, but they still have to have access for us, so.
Well,
I mean, I don't know, do they have a plan of taking an overpass over one of the crossings?
I would think, and this is just my limited knowledge of the area, but I would think Blue Mound and Centerville, if they were going to north, would not risk the train. They would take 1700 over to 7 and go straight up 7 highway and completely avert those train systems, rather than get caught at them, because that's still going to put them connecting at 169 further north.
Right.
And keep them on hard surface roadways. So, but that is something you'd have to talk to the ambulance and the AMR personnel about, what their protocols are, that's a relative guess until you get them in the room.
That's just where I'm at. I think that I don't want to spend upwards of $1 million on the project. I'd rather put it towards some consultant company coming in here and giving us a plan. I mean, in my district, we have sinkholes in the middle of the road that could swallow a car. That's happened 6, 7 o'clock at night, and that's not okay. And we're not doing it. I mean, we are doing something about it, but I'd rather have somebody come in. We got a plan together right now for our guys to do it, but if we could utilize the funds for that, I would rather do that than put it towards this right now. But if you guys feel like talking to the Miami County or whatever you guys want to do.
Commissioner meeting, they know, and I could talk to them at the commissioner meeting. I think it's at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Get some information.
I think we have Jim reach out like he offered and find out.
I'll reach out and see what I can find.
I just think
But the prep work's higher than I thought it would be.
when I first became a commissioner, I know I had a lot of people from Blue Mound area, or not Blue Mound, Waycourt, reach out to me and say that all these years they've been promised a paved road all the way through there, and it's never happened. So I just like that we're opening up a can that doesn't need opened right now. We need to get a plan together on our end, and we make decisions what roads need to be finished. And I think that starts with the company telling us their professional opinion on it.
I don't see how we have money to do this, I guess, is my whole feel on it. With other pending things that we already have, with our existing road infrastructure that we need to keep up, and trying to still be revenue neutral. So.
The other,
I know the parents with really, of the children, I think this is a big concern. I think the buses, it's a big concern. I think the emergency vehicles, it's a big concern. It is chip and sealed on 1077. If you go around, it's all chip and sealed. The only little part is the Devlin Road, 3 miles, and a little tiny portion of 200, which I wouldn't even count that because it's so small when you get on to Devlin Road.
I think that fight could be made everywhere. I mean, on the gravel roads throughout the entire county. I think it's,
And that road, Indianapolis, takes you all the way to John Brown. And of course, people in Lane and I can't think of the other road town would have access all the way into Parker.
Okay.
Lane County.
Okay.
I know where I'm at on it. I'm not in favor right now. I'll leave that up. Whatever you guys are gonna do.
I think we have Jim check on it and go from there. Right?
Jim, good with that?
I'm good with it.
Commissioners, you've got something scheduled for a conference call in 5 minutes. I know that there's people here that have public comment that may take less than that and have been waiting.
Do we want to extend this? And when was the next night meeting?
The
Are we
next,
going to have another night meeting
is next week, right? Yeah.
Next Monday night's the next night meeting.
next Monday? Do you think you would know more about talking to the commissioner or?
I'll reach out to him and see what I can find out this week.
Josh, I know you are on the list. I know you probably have things to do. This 11 o'clock, can you give us a little more time?
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, do you have anything else?
Jody's here with public comment.
Okay.
Will you be more than 5 minutes?
All right. Well, this time we'll open up for public comment. So you come up and state your name and your comment.
My name is Jody Wade, and I'm a city clerk for the city of Lacine today. I am just coming, we had received a copy of an agreement pertaining to the trash compactor sites. And we had attended the meeting, I think it's almost not quite a year ago, that we were brought in and asked if there was any questions or concerns regarding the compactor sites. And then that's the last we had heard on anything. And then we've now received we did have a phone call both with the Public Works and Economic Development and attorney. There's a couple of things that, one, we just like to hear from the county before we continue this discussion on with the council. The fact that we would be required for the state licensing, there wasn't any information provided for us as to what all is involved in that license before we commit ourselves to being a part for that license. The other question we had too is pertaining to, it ends all agreements, contracts, and leases. So if I'm understanding that correctly, you're advising the city that the current lease that you provide payment for on where it's located right now in the city, that would end upon the signing of this agreement. Questions about insurance as to who's liable for maintaining the insurance for the site. And so just, those are a few questions of things that we have. I didn't know if you all were going to provide another opportunity for all the compactor sites to, come together to visit with you on this, or if we were to just proceed with conversations with the Public Works regarding these agreements, and also just trying to understand an explanation for the city and what your the intentions are. I mean, the way the contracts read, it sounds like basically the goal is that you all, the county, operates a waste management landfill operation, in that if we want to provide compactor sites or transfer stations within our communities, then what's outlined here in the agreement is what we would have to agree upon in order to have those. And the only other question I had was also on the statement of this, it indicates that the city sites will be open to the public during their operating hours. In the past, we've been under operations in which they have to be citizens of the county in order to, go to those locations. And this was kind of opened a little bit and vague as to whether can anybody go to anybody's sites? Can people from outside of the county come to these sites? Those were some of the questions we have. And then like that, if it's on a leased property within the city, and if it's no longer valid upon the signing of this, if it's to be moved to a different location, would we then be responsible, for maneuvering that? I know it says in here that it's up to the city to be responsible for the constructing and maintaining of that site. So I'm primarily just trying to make sure on the stacking of the cost for our patrons that we fully understand this. So if there's a chance you could call another meeting or workshop that would provide us the chance to discuss this a little further, we would appreciate that.
We'll get right back
Okay.
to it. Don't leave.
Yep.
Thank you, Jody.
This is David, the commissioners.
Yeah, David, this is Mike Dolman with property valuation here in Topeka.
Hi, Mike. You got Danny and Jason and Jim here.
Okay. You guys ready to go ahead and get started?
I think so. We're here in we're in open meeting, so we'll discuss what you need to.
Okay. Hopefully you got some handouts that we had sent prior to the meeting. First of all, just an official note. My name is Mike Dolman. I'm one of the property managers here for property valuation here in Topeka. This meeting basically is required by statute, and that's one of the handouts that I provided for you. It's the statute's the 79-1404B that just basically tells us that a county that is deemed out of substantial compliance for the prior year, we're required to visit with the county commission and go over basically, they call it an audit, but it's basically the procedural and statistical in the county, and along with some hearing appeal information. So that's the reason for the phone call. Another one of the handouts that I included is just basically a 2-page description on statistics as far as how we calculate the median and COD. I don't really go into it unless anybody has any questions. It explains what we use on the scorecard, and that's kind of where I spend most of my time is on the scorecard. So with that, hopefully we refer to it as a scorecard. It's a 2-page, kind of looks like a spreadsheet.
Say mass appraisal at the top.
No scorecard.
It says Linn County 2024 compliance review. And it has like appraised value and percent of total, subclass weighting.
Yep.
See which one I'm talking about?
Yep.
He's got it up.
Okay. So with the scorecard, like I mentioned, it's created by statistical compliance and procedural compliance. The statistics is based off the 2023 sales, and the procedural is based off the procedures that were done this past year. With statistical compliance, we look at 2 classifications of property, residential and commercial/industrial. We do not include any agricultural or exempt or anything, vacant lots, stuff like that's not included in the statistical study. We have to part of this is we had to figure out what portion of that total appraised value for those two classifications and what percentage that is for the county. And you can see where that's where we come up with the 725, almost 726 million appraised value for residential and almost 38 million for the commercial, which you can see makes up 95% of that's residential value and 5% is commercial value. And you'll see here in a minute where that plays into our equation. So that drops us down to the statistical performance. Again, looking at residential and commercial, and we do the same statistics for both of those classifications. We do a median ratio for both, and we do a COD for both. And the median ratio for both classifications has to be 90 to 110, or encompass the 90 to 110. As far as 10% below 100 or 10% above 100 is what we're looking at. And that again is for both classifications. The COD has to be 20 or below. And again, that's for both residential and COD, or commercial, excuse me.
Mike, I have one question real quick.
Uh-huh.
Were we in compliance last year?
So, yeah,
Yeah,
Shit.
that's my,
we were in last,
we were in last year, we weren't the year before.
2 years before
I-
that we weren't.
I
Right.
think that sounds right.
Okay,
Yes, that
Thank you.
sounds correct.
that's what I was remembering.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, when you look at the statistical portion, so you can see we have the first column is what I refer to as the actual number. So 82.6 is the median on residential, 26.5 is the COD for residential, 92.24 is the median for commercial, and 21.2 is the COD for commercial. So those are the actual numbers. What we do is we have a formula, and I'll be honest with you, I'm really not sure how it works, but it kind of accounts for data, a non-perfect data set is basically what we're accounting for. And so instead of using the actual number, we come up with a range of what we feel confident in. And so you can see on the residential median, the 75.4 to 86.7. Again, both numbers being below 90, so it's considered out. On the COD, the range was 22.5 to 31.7. Again, both numbers being above 20, so it's considered out. And then if you jump down to the commercial portion there, the median 73 to 129, it encompasses that 90 to 110, so we consider that as being in compliance. And the COD, the bottom end number there of 7.4 is below the 20, so we consider that in. So even though the actual COD for commercial was out, the range, we feel confident that it's, within the requirements. The next column shows you the points that we allocate, and then the next column is the weight class, and that's where we do the weighting, and that's based off of those percentages up above, the 0.950 and the 0.05 for 95% and 5%. Unfortunately, we have, rounding kind of makes these numbers look a little skewed, but so points possible for residential was 23.8 for the median and 23.8 for the COD. Since they were both out, the county did not receive any of those points. On the commercial, points possible, 1.3 for each of those. County was considered in, so they got, like I say, you can see the rounding issue that we have there, but the 2.5 points for the commercial. And this is this is basically normal. We're seeing a lot of county struggling with residential statistics ever since COVID, due to the market just going crazy the past 3-4 years now. I will say I looked at the county we did mail out or send out mid-year results here about a week or two ago, which is based off of this year's data, sales data, from January through June. And both of these median and COD are now currently within compliance. The numbers look a lot better. So, I mean, things can change between now and the end of the year, but the numbers currently look a lot better on the residential portion. And we didn't have enough sales for the commercial yet to do anything, so I don't know what commercial's doing.
Basically what you're telling us is that we're underappraised based off of earlier in the year, but now we might be okay for the last part of the year?
Well, now this here is based off all of the 2023 sales. This is based off of last year's data.
Okay.
So as of last year, yeah, you were underappraised based off the statistical information for residential.
And we're using like trend lines and things that way, trying to meet those things already, right? And that's what you scored us for down below.
We're going to continue to see those.
We definitely do a trend analysis.
So people are going to continue to see.
Whether we use it or not, that's our decision.
Okay.
Yeah,
But we do a trend analysis.
I mean, it's just been, and of course it varies from county to county. You guys happen to be kind of located, you're located close to Kansas City. It's a hot market. So trying to stay up with the market can be challenging, and I tell, commissioners that, the appraiser, currently state law requires that they appraise property at fair market value. And right now, fair market values are crazy. Whether people, anybody that's kind of in it, business, whether you're a realtor or whatever, you guys, appraisers, we know that. But if you're not, if you're just kind of Mr. Joe Blow taxpayer that doesn't really pay attention to the market that much, just more concerned about how it's impacting you, it's kind of a shock, to say the least. But again, this is statistical, and it can change. Like I say, right now for 2024, the numbers are completely different. They look so much, a lot better. But I think we're also seeing maybe the market kind of slow down a little bit. Don't want to say the values are going down, but at least they're maybe kind of leveling out a little bit, which is helping county appraisers kind of, catch up or stay up with the market. And the other thing is, there for a couple of years, we were seeing 20, 30+% increases.
Right.
And that's a hard pill to swallow for anybody, whether you're the county appraiser or just a taxpayer. And, of course, the county appraiser, again, fair market values. But believe me, they don't want to raise values 30%. It's just, unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast right now, or has been anyway. But hopefully things are settling down a little bit. But with that being said, you can see there the subtotal, the total points possible for the statistics was 50 points. County got 2.5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that automatically kicks you out of substantial compliance. No matter what is done the rest of the way through,
You're done.
It's just an automatic. And I tell people, residential is such a heavy player because, just like you see, 95% of your value of these two classifications was residential. So if you're out on something up there, it's hard to recover from as far as to be in substantial compliance. The one thing that we do not tell counties, you know, like you said, this indicates that values are low. We do not require counties to increase value. I mean, we let the county, that handle at the county level. That's between you and your appraiser and how things, you know, a lot of times they'll work themselves out on their own, you know, but sometimes, you know, people just don't want to change values. And, you know, currently we're not making anybody, you know, I'm not going to tell you that you have to raise values. And like I say, right now, there's no need to, because the mid-year ratio is 97.5 and your confidence interval is 92 to 99. So you can see for the first 6 months, the appraised values compared to sale prices are much, much better. So any other questions? Now that was based off 152 residential sales and 6 commercial, what we consider valid sales. And so, and that plays a factor. A lot of times, you know, when you have like commercial being in compliance with 6 sales, that's pretty good, because it's hard to be in compliance statistically with commercial because of so few sales. And so that's very good.
The other scoring part, we're receiving all of our points on those, so our processes are correct. Is that, am I reading that correctly, Mike?
Yeah. If you notice the next part, the next bottom of that page and over on the second page, the appraiser's office has various phases throughout the year that they have to complete. And within each phase, there's different line items, and you can kind of see that. I don't think I need to go through each one unless you have questions on something particular. But, yeah, you can see over on this second page there towards the bottom, procedural, they got 50 out of 50. So they're doing everything. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, just sales, you know, just kind of getting out of control at times. The last part there is statutorial compliance. We don't add any points for that. We just take points away if they didn't do something statutorily. You can see those are all 0, so they did everything they needed to do there. And ultimately, they ended up with a 52.5 out of 100 points. And solely based on the residential statistical portion of it. Any questions on that scorecard other than what you've had with?
Don't have any. I don't think so.
I don't have any.
No.
I mean, you know, we have 10 counties out of compliance, substantial compliance this year. You know, every one of them is due to residential ratio. You know, I had a meeting this morning with a different set of commissioners, and, you know, one of their concerns was, you know, out-of-state people coming in paying a lot, and it's not fair that it's driving up the market, you know, other property owners' values. And I understand that, but currently the law reads that county appraisers have to be at fair market value. And, you know, fair market, if that's based off out-of-state buyers, it is what it is. I mean, I think last year the legislators attempted to, you know, put a cap on that. Unless there was, you know, certain reasons why it needed to go up more than the cap. It didn't pass. I would suspect they're probably going to maybe look at something again this year because of, you know, the increase in values and taxes that we're seeing across the state. But I guess time will tell on that. We'll know here about 4 months from now. We'll be here before we know it. You have a 5-page report that at the top it says procedural compliance review checklist. This is the checklist this is what fills out that scorecard, the bottom half. I'm not going to go through it since, I mean, the county, you can see, it just tells you what is what each phase is and what the different items are within the phase. Like I say, the county got all their points. They're doing everything they need to do. It's just keeping up with, sale prices. And that's kind of a statewide concern right now with everybody. So that's the review checklist. And that's based off of the information. So the way the procedural works is the county is given a checklist, kind of like this, that they have certain deadlines they got to meet by submitting. It may be just a report that they have to submit or up to some lengthy analysis that they have, like land. Land is usually a fairly lengthy amount of information that they submit. And that they submit that to us. Like I say, it's usually once a month. Sometimes it's twice a month, depending on the time frame. We review that information and check for accuracy. And as of now, the county is meeting all the standards on that. So good job on the appraiser's office for that. And the last thing I have, you should have a one-page report that is for appeals. And it will list 3 different years, and I just go over the most current year. The information basically is the same, other than the numbers change a little bit. What we do is we compare the county's numbers to the overall statewide numbers. Again, looking at just commercial and residential. The main thing I look at is the percent appealed columns. You can see that on commercial statewide, the number of commercial appeals was 7.39%. In the county, they had 3.22% of commercial appeals. And then the last column shows the percentage that had an adjustment. And statewide average was 20.67%. The county had 60%. So, I don't see any issue there. I mean, the concern was here is that several years ago, there was a concern that taxpayers weren't seeing any kind of relief at the informal appeal level. And so they added that to the statute that we need to, verify that people are seeing adjustments at the informal level. So on the residential portion of it, you can see the statewide average was number appealed was 2.27, and the county it was 1.47. The percent adjusted about 48% statewide, and it was 70% at the county level. So I don't have any concerns there. I mean, it's obvious the county, there is adjustments being made at the informal level if they need to be made. So
Okay.
I don't have any concerns there. And with that, that's all I have to talk about. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything?
I don't.
So when you say out of compliance, you said there was 10 states in the state. I mean, is there any ramifications for that? Or is there anything that help us? I mean, do we qualify for anything to help us? I mean, when you say compliance, sounds like we're, in the wrong here. I mean,
it sounds a lot worse than it is. Let's put it that way.
There's no penalty for it, is what he's asking.
Yeah, and that's correct. That is true. Basically, when this all first came about, it's been, and I need to go back and find out because the previous county asked me the same question. Years and years ago, and I don't know, I mean, it's been quite a while ago. The state used to have that reimbursement fund where they would give counties back, some money each year. And that reimbursement fund was based off of this, part of that was based off being in, compliance with, state law. Of course, last year, that's one thing they did do is they actually removed, they haven't been funding it for several years, and then last year they just went ahead and I think removed it completely out of statute, so it doesn't even exist anymore. So the only ramification right now for being out of compliance is, well, probably the only thing that could happen is, I guess, my boss, the director of property valuation, could remove the county appraiser from office. I don't know that. I've been here 35 years and that's never happened yet. I don't see it ever happening, especially with the shortage of county appraisers that there are in the state right now. And it would have to be something that we felt was, I mean, they were purposely violating law, and there's nothing that indicates that. It's just you guys, I'm sure you all are aware, the market is just ever since COVID, it's just crazy.
And volatile.
And, I mean, I know we're tired of blaming everything on COVID, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think any of us expected to see what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years. So no, there's no ramifications. If there's, I mean, the appraiser's office, and I know I've talked with Lisa off and on different times, they can give us a call and we can help them with anything if they have any questions or concerns. We're more than willing to help them with whatever. But like I say, right now, things, the ratios for residential look really good. So
Okay.
hopefully nothing major happens and we see a 20% increase between now and the end of the year.
All right.
Well, I don't have any more questions for you, Mike. And you guys got anything for me?
Okay.
I don't.
Well, we appreciate your time. And do you have anything else for us?
Nope, that's it. And, I just tell everybody, if you think of something later or have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or have Lisa reach out to me and I'll get you anything you need.
All right. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mike.
All right. Have a good day.
You too, Mike.
Bye.
You guys have anything for me?
I don't have any.
We have just seen a crazy market. It's been really hard to keep up. And as you can see, 82%. So I know people are yelling at us because, their values are raising, but the state says we're still not high enough as of this year.
That's what I was saying to Jim. So we're going to still see these massive
Well,
increases next year. So
but this is 23.
right.
So values did raise in 24 also. So
Have
that's what
started
he's
moving,
saying.
it starts coming back down. Maybe.
Yeah, we mirror the market. So hopefully we can stay ahead of the market. That's what we are trying our best.
That's why you have your trend analysis and
We look at trends right now on land. I'm seeing a 10% trend on land. So we're still just in the beginning phases for 2025 on our analysis. But the analysis where he said we were in is our mid-year 24 ratio. So in 2024, our numbers are better because we did have a large land value increase and values did raise. So this was based on 2023. So anyway.
You have a complicated job.
It is not an easy job. So anyway, that's all. Are you guys
You guys got anything, Mary?
with me? Okay.
Thank you,
All
Lisa.
right. Have a good day, guys.
You too. All right. Do you want to bring Jody back up? We can kind of speak with her.
Well, Commissioners, to help with that discussion later on in my agenda, there was a request from Pleasanton that I attend their next meeting to answer questions in reference to the compactor site. So they're asking me to attend and answer these same questions. And my statement would be to you, I'm more than willing to do that. Or, as Jody requested, we may want to bring them all in the same room and give one answer in one direction. but I would say that as we go through this process, I do have Parker's already signed, ready to hand you. But if you want me to attend those meetings, I'm going to have direction from you on these questions because I'm going to have to answer them, or we're going to have to pull them all to one room and answer them for them. That way we give them a uniformed answer.
I think I'd rather just, I don't think you need to go around to every single site and answer all the questions. I think we bring everybody in, or we do a mayor's meeting or something, and we figure it out from there. What do you guys think?
I agree with that.
I think a mayor meeting would be more ideal and talk about more than just that. So a lot of things have changed since our last one, I think.
Okay. I will try to get that on the
I think that would
schedule.
be sufficient, Jody.
I think it would be beneficial.
Okay, good.
And, you know, and my thought on it is, Jody, is it's not, we're not trying to put any more on you guys. We're just trying to, I mean, from my understanding, the last time this was ever assessed was 1986. It was the last time anything's ever been signed on anything with the trash compactors. And I know that for years we had a phone line run to, or a service to all of the compactor sites that no one even knew about or used, and we spent a lot of money on it. It's just stuff that I think it's time to speak about it and try to make it make sense of everything and move forward there. You know, we don't want to take anything from anybody or make it any more difficult. We want to be able to go to, you be able to do whatever you want on your site, move it wherever you want. I just don't think it's fair to us that, you know, say something massive happened and we had to go to court or something, let's just say that. Then us three would, or one of us or the county would have to set in on something that we had no control over, you know what I mean? And I feel like that we'll just put that back in your guys' hands. You guys do the operations as you want, and we'll teach you guys, you know, what we need to do to get the license. We'll pay for it, and then we will, you guys do it, move it wherever you want, and go from there. So that makes sense.
I understand, just as a city, we need to be informed and know we haven't been the licensee holders. We don't know what the regulations, the local, state, federal regulations are, you know, for operating those facilities and what's involved in it. I'm sure there's cost if there's any faults or, you know, problems that happen or people dispose of something that shouldn't be, or et cetera. And so those are things that we as a city would need an opportunity to understand, as well to how it's going to affect. Again, everybody's always looking at the dollar numbers, you know, what we levy currently for, you know, having the staff and there to operate it. But looking in the long run, if we, you know, have probably some of the reasons some of those entities limited, you know, the lake entities utilize it just for, you know, those within their community. Some of those probably stem from the fact of, you know, again, what penalties and things can arise from people putting products or things in there that shouldn't be, which would now fall upon, you know, whoever's the licensee holder to continue to correct or fix or penalize, you know, if needed, or et cetera. So those are the kind of things in operative costs that we need to know and how that would affect our budget.
Which, and that's Sean, I mean, Sean's kind of our go-to on that, and he represents that side of things, don't you, Sean? And you were going to teach, you're going to show them and take them through all the steps. And
We would have training on how to procure the permit. Because we're part of Lake Region, the largest part of the permit is having an operations plan that is paid for by our association with Lake Region, and we would be a secondary on the permit. The biggest violations we get are unclean sites, picking up violations of things that are stored at the site that should have been in containers. And all the violations that I've dealt with, matter of fact, I can't think of one we've been fined on. Almost all of the violations that I've seen have been, go pick up this mess.
And that's where I'm think, you know, we don't control the people that work at the site, so that's not our place to step in and do that. But we're willing to pay for you guys to learn everything. It's not, I mean, from my understanding of how everything works, you guys, you know, there's no other cost to you guys. It's just more laid out of, you guys do what you need to do. We're going to provide you guys with the equipment and pick it up. And you guys just tell us where to go. Because I know Pleasant has been wanting to move theirs and do this 3-phase stuff. They want to move it, you know, and it's kind of been a big thing for the last 6 years since I've been here. But I don't feel like that's my job to do that. That, you know, they should be able to do whatever they want. I don't think it should fall on on the county, and I don't have anything to do with any of the operations out there.
Most recently, the biggest change, we just got the license. Mound City changed their hours. And because we're the license holder, I had to do the work with the state, which was not difficult. It was a few contacts with the state to get an agreement to change the hours and then mark their signs and change our website. But the license holder has to be the one that does those things. So if you change operational hours, change anything about the site and the agreement in the operations plan, and you're not the license holder, you got to go through the license holder and they got to do the work with the state to get it permitted.
And there's a few things. Have any caveats for the term length or reevaluation if a time or term to look at it, and or if any changes should occur that you would want to cease or end that contract. There's any language in there pertaining to that. As cities, we have to evaluate over time. More and more, believe it or not, the numbers keep going up for those who just want door-to-door services, as opposed to calling anything to a compactor just because they don't have the vehicles or capabilities of doing those things. So as times change or things evolve, those are just things you want to be sure that in a contract that, there's some language and things provided if things could change going down the road. And that's why I just feel if we bring everybody together, I know it's a goal and tip sometimes to have a common contract that can be for all sites, but if there are some differences out there, giving everybody to be sure there's written in here, those that, have less, we all, some of us struggle with the compactors getting filled at a rapid basis. Some of us are kind of in the medium, and some of us don't get them filled enough, in time for when your routes and things are happening. And so just having an opportunity to get back together. I think we kind of got started with initiating of the question that you did, and you brought forth, so the cities did come and attend that meeting, but we didn't get, a lot.
Well, and that's where I got a little, I got a little frustrated with it because it's almost been a year. And before everyone left, I said, please just give your comments and concerns to Jessica or Sean, and not one person reached back out to him.
We sent in our contract. We still had a copy of the original contract, plus the one that was sent out by Jackie Messer. At one time, he sent a draft one for us to kind of brainstorm on our past considerations. And so, again, I just think we need a chance to be sure that we have the language and everything and or if there's some items that are requested by the city that they might have before they go initiating becoming the license holder, exactly what all will be required in that responsibility. And your notations in there regarding the funding on some of the elements, but at the same time too, we just want to be sure all things are clear on what the costs are that will be entailed for us in the operations. It's one thing to pay the license fee, but we need to understand what our costs might be in the operating aspect of it. So that's all that I'm just letting you know that we would like to have another opportunity and if some other cities have some similar questions or things to get back together again before we would implement further with that contract.
And there's a lot of things that have to coincide to get going on this. We have a tipping floor, and like you're right, there's some sites that get hauled with hardly any trash in them. There's some that I'll get a phone call from Pleasanton and they're full and they shut down, and people call me or text me, why is it shut down? I don't know. I don't have nothing to do with the operations of it. So I just want everything to make sense. And like I said, the last known contract I know of, it was 86. So,
well, and having a chance for you all to share with us, again, not everybody always knows what is involved in your part. So understanding what happens on the part when it's picked up and hauled off, to understand the cost, the tax, everybody, all moving. Again, yes, county taxes are paid by everybody. That helps into whatever the budget line is for the waste management. And what portion of that is responsible for compactor size, what portions are for the landfill, whether for the haul off to other waste areas, is on your end of things. And so it's trying to take a look at the whole picture to see is there any modifications of things that we can adjust. And just like I say, for individual taxpayers, if a city's entity becomes that, out of 400 parcels, we have 300 running on, door-to-door type servicing than to go over here and also letting 4 mills to operate, in another transfer site may not be the best, just if that's where the future would go. Or what items are being accepted. I mean, sometimes those are questions. If the household garbage is getting more, attuned on door to door, but it's other items, construction materials, those other landfill type items, are getting less accessible to get down where they need to be. I don't know, but all I'm saying is just having a chance to discuss some of this before we just proceed on. We have a draft, we initiated with some items.
And like I said,
having a chance to
we've been working on it for a year, and that's where my frustration is. We've been working on it for a year, and so we have to get all the municipalities together to do it, and trying to get everybody's attention all at once doesn't happen, and it's drug out for over a year. And we're not trying to shove it down your throat or anything like that. We're just trying to get going on it because and this is something that I'm pushing hard because I'm the one that brought this up, and I'm the one that's pushed really hard for it. And it's something that I'd like to see finished before I'm done being a commissioner at the end of my term. So it's either we do it or we don't do it. But yeah, I mean, I'm all about getting your guys' input, but I don't want it to drag out too much longer. So that's kind of where I'm at. So, and we're not here to make you guys spend more or anything like that. It's more just for accountability on both of our ends. So Sean has way too much going on. I don't know if you keep up, but he shouldn't be having to deal with that whenever, we don't run that operation of things. So it's kind of like the same thing we dealt with like the SRO program here a few years ago. So, amazing programs, but I think we just got to, get some of the kinks out and make sure it's how it should be ran. So.
Like I said, there's a few things in there that we would like, that are complete in this contract, some further language or et cetera, that needs to be addressed or associated with it. So I'm letting you know that at least for Lacey, that's where we are with it. We'll go ahead and present to the council, of the draft that's been submitted thus far, but those would be some questions and things that we need to find out, some information on.
Right. And we're one county. We're not here trying to make you guys pay more or hold you to that contract, where you're going to get your trash service taken away. That's not my intentions at all. So, and I don't think that's
it's the taxpayer's opportunity as to what benefits and what things, services they want provided.
Yep.
Their tax dollars they have allocated. So all I'm saying is there's just a few things, just like you say, if it's gone that long of a period of not being evaluated, et cetera, then we need to use some terminology into the contracts here that will allow that it does get looked at, every years to be sure if there's any adjustments that need to be done, and or if it evolves and the era of the trash services change, we need to have that ability that if it should, create for the cease of this and what happens in the closure of that, if that is something that had to happen, and or again, if any modifications need to come forward, and again, we just need to have some of the insight on what goes with regulations, so we understand if we are going to be the license holder, we need to have some of that knowledge to know what we're responsible for in those operations.
You guys got anything? You
Um,
got anything to add? Anything else?
No.
Then Sean, please reach out.
Yep. I'll get with you as soon as I have a date.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jody.
You'd ask about the large project, fiber project. We had got notice from QuickCom pursuant,
Hold on. Hey, Josh, are you trying, do you get to get out of here?
Yeah.
Can we let him go? Let's let him go. I'm going to use the restroom and then we'll go, okay?
Well, yeah, are we going to executive session?
Whatever you need. I don't know what
Well,
is
it's
it?
great for the team going.
and when you guys get back, I need 15 for executive session, non-elected personnel. So if you'd like to do Josh and then do those and get them all.
10 minutes again.
Josh needs 10 minutes.
Sean needs 15.
15 non-elected personnel.
Sorry, what'd you say, Jim?
10 minutes for Josh. 15 minutes for Sean for non-elected personnel.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session, 10 minutes with Josh Baldwin for trade secrets and 15 minutes with Sean for non-elected personnel.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm supposed to be in Manhattan at 4.
Would-
So I'm gonna need to wrap up before too terribly long, if we can.
Sean, do you have a lot more left?
I'm gonna cut it down. Once we get in started, I'm gonna explain half the stuff I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna read.
I'm good till 1, but
As far as that, we talked, when Jody was here about the mayor's meeting. Can you,
are we back in session?
yeah, what did we have action on? Just this?
Yeah.
Would that really be action? I guess it would. We have a little bit of action. We want to do what?
We're hanging meat.
So we want to accept, is it retirement? So a letter from Robert Orth Jr. He's planning to retire from the road and bridge. His last day was September 20th. And we just want to thank him as the commission. He was here for 7.5 years, and good luck in retirement.
The next thing I had for you was the request from QuickCom. This request was emailed telling us that according to Exhibit A attached to the agreement, they believe they are now 90% complete, and I believe requesting the remainder of their ARPA funding.
They're requesting it?
Have we gotten their as-built?
Not seen that. I'll have to check with GIS to see if they have been given anything, but I have not seen that myself.
I think we should be holding off until we have those things that we were promised.
I'm not for signing it.
I'm not in favor of any.
Yeah, what about up there where we was in the road and things? What did they do there? Did anybody?
I don't think that since their meeting, has anything been resolved?
None of it has been resolved. None of it was addressed, but not resolved. And I believe the answer we got back was identify areas of concern and we'll go independently look at them rather than them give us a list of out of compliance. It was not a workable resolve like we had with our other project. My suggestion and recommendation to you is put that on the list for your short legal conversation as to where we stand on the contractual part of that and the funding.
I guess we gotta give them anything. We got their 10% of their money, don't we?
So,
I think we're pretty.
there are concerns about that. I can go after the as-built, but there are concerns you need to discuss with someone
Okay.
with a background
Okay. Yeah.
in that. The next thing I have for you, we discussed the request on the massacre site about the traffic counter. They have got a camera and we'll have a camera within a week to put on and observe that counter because we worried about damage to the machinery or the loan of that equipment. If IT is able, because I don't have anyone else that knows how to set it up, if IT is available to accommodate that and they put a camera on that, are you willing to loan that equipment?
What do they need a camera for, or what do they need a counter for if they have a camera?
They're looking to get a traffic count on traffic flow into the massacre site.
But if they have a camera up, they can do the count off the camera.
Just look at the camera.
Okay, my understanding is the whole thing is to propose to their bosses above that they either need gates or security. So they're looking to gain information to do that.
I don't see how the counter would be beneficial if they have a better camera that's more evident of people actually going in and out. I mean, I don't think. What do you think?
I think camera's sufficient.
I think they can do it off their camera.
I think so too.
Okay, there are, because of the meeting delays and Joyce's vacation, you're going to see that all of my other road and bridge reports are dated from the first meeting a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. You've been able to read through those for brevity's sake, unless you want me to read line by line about something that occurred over a week dated. I will catch you up on all of that next week.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Transfer station, we got another box. Front end fell out of the bottom of it. As you remember, we had an agreement with JR with one of the boxes had rails and needed more cost, and we agreed to pay for it. This one, at the time we did all that, was not damaged and was not showing damaged. Now it needs repair, and he said the cost is going to be very similar to the other boxes that we've had repaired. So I'm
Better
looking.
than a new one.
The new one's 10 grand plus, or we repair it for 5.
With the local guy, I think. I'm good with that.
I'm good with it.
Okay, me too.
Okay. Parker gave back their agreement. Do you want me to hold that until we have our meeting or hand that to you today?
I think you should hold on to it. What do you guys think?
I do too.
And as far as that, like, I just suggested to mayor's meeting. I don't know if that's what you guys want to do or not, but I think it'd be a good time, good opportunity. I don't know. If we bring them in right after a meeting on a Monday, or what do you guys want to do?
We can bring them in during the meeting or whatever you want to do, or whenever's what works
I
for
think we
them.
set a time and
Just set a time and make it, I mean, in 30 minutes, we can surely.
You're scheduled for an evening meeting coming up.
I think that might be a little crowded probably to have everybody here during that time, because we do have a lot more locals come in during that time. I mean, don't you guys think? You guys don't want to do it next week or the prior or the week after?
Next week's the evening meeting, so.
Yeah.
So,
I just think in the evening, I don't know, do you think we'll be able to house everybody?
but I'm saying it'd be the next week after that if you want to bring them in
Right,
during
so
the,
the-
yeah.
the
I
7th.
mean, we gotta give them some notice too, right? For them to bring their questions and,
Yeah. Ought to give them 2 weeks or 3 weeks and
Yeah.
let them come in.
yeah, don't you think?
Just do it through.
So the 7th or the 14th?
14th,
14th's a holiday.
15th.
Do it the 15th.
Would that work, Sean?
That'll work, and I'll send it out to them.
We make a decision on that day. Maybe have them have their answers
For questions that we have
for
to
the
answer
questions,
to us beforehand?
Yeah, because I feel like they'll come in with questions and then it'll just keep turning into
Well, we're basically going to have to make a decision on what we're doing. So, I mean, that we just need to give them answers. It sounds like to me of what their questions is.
Right,
Right?
right.
And we made up our mind of what we're going to do, but we just need to answer the questions that they have.
So if they can send their questions to Sean
Get the
beforehand,
questions ahead of the time, and then
we can prepare our responses.
Yep.
Right? And be ready to meet with them
get us
and discuss
the
it.
questions in 2 weeks, and then
We'll meet with them and,
following week.
right?
I think so, yeah. So the 15th, we'll have that meeting and bring them in here right after the regular commission meeting.
Sounds good. Okay, park software update. In order to install the software, sites have to be measured to see what type of campers and length and width. So they're working with the software provider to get the data needed to implement that program. The lagoon project is moving forward. They were doing the inner walls to one cell, had one cell pumped out. I didn't get to look to see if they had completely wrapped that cell or not before the rain. The equine trails signs are in, and there is a group working on putting those out. They're doing a good job. I've been clued in on the emails, but they're working with GIS in the park and a volunteer group to get these signs out on the trails so that they'll have addressing related to the mark system and be able to call in their location for an emergency. Knox is.
I had a question at the park too. I had a guy call me this week that he was on the list put his name on a list for a parking space, one of the permanent ones.
Campsites.
It'd been 6 years, and he went back up there, and there's some confusion as far as who he talked to up there and everything. And I don't think he's interested now, but I just wonder what our procedure is to stay on the list. He hadn't reached back, but he put his name on the list, but he hadn't heard anything back and he stopped in there.
Well, and he spoke to management prior to even myself, and he couldn't tell us who he spoke to. And I'm well aware of the situation since Sherry's kept that list because it's become such a requested thing. She's been very detailed on that list and it was the first time she had ever heard of this individual. There was nothing passed on from prior management, so we were unable to help him. She was very willing to put him on the list, but told him she couldn't move him to the top of the list on something that she had no knowledge of that was 6 years prior.
It was on the list for the permanent parking spots, basically, is what we got, that he
The
wanted.
number of permanent locations that we've allowed. As someone moves out, someone moves in.
And there's a list there, I guess. I didn't know anything about it, but it's.
I thought that when Rick was still there, I thought we kind of grandfathered everybody in there, and as they moved out, we weren't allowing people back in. I didn't know there was a list. I guess
I didn't know anything about it.
There were people grandfathered under old regulations, but no, there are still people moving into the number of slots because our policy says the manager can allow so many permanent slots, like with outages and other things, can allow so many long-term slots if they're available. As you bring that up, I got an odd phone call on Sunday morning that was rather strange. A gentleman called me and told me he camps there twice a year and nobody special. He just said, I camp here twice a year, been doing it for years. And he took the time out of his Sunday morning to call me and tell me how pleased he was that our staff treated him like he was the only guest there every time he ever showed up. So I was very pleased to get an odd call on a Sunday morning on my county phone to hear that at least someone that comes there twice a year and has done it for years is very happy with the service there. I don't know how much you know about the events going on. There is a group from around Kansas coming to view the courthouse in reference to and tied with the Gordon Park celebration. This may be 50 to 60 museum curators from around the state. They are setting up a possibility of screenshots or viewing of a movie or shots from the scene that was filmed in the second floor of the courthouse while speaking about this event and getting some details to arrange some things and clean some things for that event. I was asked about the painting of the gazebo by Al Hertz, and I told Al we'd had roof damage that was going to be repaired as well, but he talked about painting it. I went over to look at it at the request of some of the courthouse staff or electeds, asked me to look at it and see if it was worth painting over. My recommendation to you is to ask Randy Page to look at it because you do have rot. I would not put a good roof on it or put paint on it until somebody evaluated it and told you what needed to be done to keep the structure below it intact.
Have Randy look at it.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Commissioners, that is everything I had for you at this time.
So you had mentioned the park reservations. What do they have a time frame on that? They think that'll be, how long does it take them? You said they come down and help or what? Or they do it off the internet?
No, we do all the measurements and everything. We turn in and we're doing the back end stuff so they can build the program. So we're going to have to tell them what the sites have, what services they have. They have water at these sites, how big that site is,
We don't have something like that already?
how big a camper can fit into it. We have to measure all those pads. And no, we do not have anything electronically that we could send them. So the back end work is being started on that.
Okay.
So all you had?
That's all I had for you today.
You guys got anything else?
I don't.
Do we need to change for the meeting next Monday, or we already done?
You did the first 3 months in one
Okay.
motion, so I think you're good.
So next week it is a
5:30.
evening meeting,
5:30.
5:30 or in the evening. And about it, I think, right?
Okay.
All right. If nobody has anything else, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lunch from maintenance. About 12:30 to get it. Appreciate it. Last Monday off.
I would rather not have it. I'll tell you that.